laugh because I always forget to record the video, and just in case something goes wrong and I'm done, I have the backup. Okay, now we are done. So we have many newcomers, and we also have some experienced programmers among you. So I'll try to strike a balance between uh, a beginning lesson to intermediate, right? I'm not going to stop too much on an overview of the editor and basic programming concepts. I'm assuming that you have some ideas about game design. Hello, hello. I'm assuming that you have some ideas about game design and some basic programming concepts. I'll try to be as broad as possible in my explanations, but I don't want to make it, I don't want the lesson to drag too much. So if you have questions, I'm keeping an eye on the chat. If it's a very basic question, maybe I will direct you to our Discord community. We have tons of very helpful and friendly folks looking to help you. We also have Unreal evangelists online in our Discord community in the context of this jam. So if there's something that maybe you didn't understand very well, we can follow up afterwards. And yeah, about the jam. Thank you so much for participating. It's a rather new thing for us, and it's coming along very nicely. We are almost about to hit 150 participants, much more than we expected. And we are looking forward to see the games you create with Unreal. Why Unreal? It's the engine we are using for Asylum for many years now. We feel comfortable with it, and it turns out that it's a nice engine to create narrative games. As you're going to see, the blueprints feature is one of the main selling points in Unreal. Blueprints work very nicely. They provide an accessible visual scripting language to create games. So you can create some pretty complex games without any line of old-fashioned code. So this is the editor, right? I have a level, yes, a map from the Unreal Marketplace. It's a pretty nice house. I'm going to hit play and we can walk around the house. I think it's called residential house, residential American house. It's oh wow, Unreal Engine is actually looking at the stream. Hey, hi. This is a pretty wonderful house to explore and my our adventure senses go tingling just this lovely place. Here is I'm going to use blueprints to add some interaction to this place. Yeah. Before I start, here's the thing. Unreal is a pretty big engine, very flexible. There are many different ways to do things, and I am going to start opening, lots of windows, and there's going to be much information on screen. If there's anything I don't make a reference to, you should probably forget about it, because it's either too advanced and it doesn't have any it doesn't have anything to do with the lesson, right? So there are things I won't explain everything. There's too much to explain. So if there's something you don't understand, just ignore it. HQ residential house, that's right, yes. So a very quick overview of the editor. here. This is the Unreal editor. You can download it from unrealengine.com. You open the Epic Launcher, install the version of choice. This is Unreal, the latest version, 4.25. And the main parts of the editor, as you can see, we have a world outliner here to my right. Now, I have organized the project in a way so that we focus on the things, on the elements that are part of the lesson. So, of course, there's a lot of objects and elements in this house. The majority is inside this folder, which is called house. I could turn off the house and it would look, rather scary. The objects that we will be using for this lesson are here. I have a folder for the foyer. I have a key. I can double click on these objects. We're going to call them objects for now, right? The main door over here. You can press F to focus on the objects you want to see in the viewport. A microwave oven in the kitchen, right? This is the world outliner. So everything, all the elements that are part of our game world. I have a content browser. These are the assets that are part of our game. It's pretty, again, the entire house is in the folder residential house, and it's full of stuff that we won't be looking into right now. I want you to just focus on the elements that will be part of this lesson. And this panel here, which is called Place Actors, we use this panel to populate the game world with actors. And here's the first concept of Unreal that it can be a little confusing at first. This is our level or a map, right? We have 3D elements in this map. Anything you can see in the game world, it's called an actor. So yes, even the microwave oven is an actor. Let me look at it from here. Yes, Unreal thinks very highly of inanimate objects, because when you think of actors, you think of maybe people or creatures that move, that do stuff. But even an object sitting on a surface can be an actor. And the idea behind this lesson, we are going to add functionality to these actors. This panel right now, I'm going to close it because I'm not going to use it. I'm just going to focus on the assets I create and the properties I will give them in the world outliner. So this framework that I'm going to design here, these concepts that I'm going to tell you, they are prepared for a 3D game. That doesn't mean you can reuse them in another type of adventure, right? This is going to unfold like a sort of Gone Home-ish kind of game. The setting is appropriate too. So this is prepared for a 3D kind of movement, okay? And when I hit play again, I start here, and you're going to notice that we always start in the foyer. This is why we have the player start. This is an actor as well. Okay, this actor is here, and I can move it by clicking on the, I don't know if you can see it, on the green arrow to move it forward into the kitchen, so that when I hit play again, I'm already in the kitchen, because this is where I'm going to begin doing stuff, right? And before I get into the core concept of blueprints, I'm going to show you I'm going to show you something quickly. I'm going to create a blueprint, right? Depending on where you come from or your previous experience, you can look at blueprints in different ways. So if you have experience programming with Unity, a blueprint is sort of, but not quite a prefab, right? So if you come from the C++ world, a blueprint is essentially a class. It is a class. And in fact, it has a hierarchy. Blueprints have a wide hierarchy of classes, right? The first blueprint I'm going to create here is going to be the simplest possible blueprint, which inherits from actor. This means that the blueprint will be able to become part of this level. In fact, the requirement for an actor, the why an actor can be placed in a game world, because an actor has coordinates. That is the requirement for any Unreal object to become an actor. Once it has a coordinates, a vector, transform, we say, a position and a rotation, we can place that actor in the world. So a blueprint, by definition, it is an actor. It can be many other things, of course, because the concept of object-oriented programming. You have a base class, another object that can inherit from that class. It inherits properties from that class, and you will see how all of this works when I create this framework. We're going to begin with a hotspot, a very simple hotspot. Now, if you play Adventures, you know that a hotspot is an interactive region or object. You can click or interact with that object. And what we're going to do here is create a very simple hierarchy of hotspots. We start with our base hotspot, which defines all the basic behavior of a hotspot, and then another one. And let me just show you very quickly how you create the blueprint here. I'm very organized, and in fact, one of the things, one of the major some of the major questions we always hear about Unreal is, what is the right way of doing things? There is a certain logic or best practices, right? That it's good to follow those practices. I'm going to try and do that here. So some things that I do may be a bit excessive, because the idea is to show you what is the right way of doing things. So if you see something that it's maybe, but isn't that overkill? Well, maybe, but I'm going to explain why. What is my logic, my rationale behind doing that? Anyway, let's start with the blueprint actor. I'm going to call it BP test. I'm going to double click on this blueprint. This blueprint is an asset now. I'm going to add a folder called blueprints, and I'm going to put the blueprint here because I want to be organized, which is exactly what I was telling you a few seconds ago. When I double click on the blueprint, we have, organize the screen, okay. And this is the blueprint editor, okay? There are many components here, many different, lots of things a blueprint can do. So a blueprint can have variables, okay? kind of macros, functions, and components, right? This is just an empty blueprint. It doesn't do anything here. It's just as basic as it gets. I can drag my asset to the level, yes, and you can see that this is called the gizmo, that white sphere, it's a gizmo. If I click play, of course, you won't see it. It's just an empty actor. We call it an empty actor. So here, I wanted to focus on this part here. We say that a blueprint can have components, okay? The first one we see here is called default scene root. You can click on this component and you're going to see the properties on the right panel, yes? And this default scene root is precisely what I was telling you, that the blueprint that an actor needs to be able to be placed in the level. So the scene root are the coordinates that an actor needs to exist in a level. And I'm going to start talking about instances, because the blueprint is a class. It's a class of object that can be reused as many times as we want. This is when the interesting part begins now, because as you can see, my blueprint is called BP test. It's there's now an instance of my blueprint BP test in the level. I'm going to call it, I'm going to rename it, and you do this with right click, edit, rename, test1, okay? And if I drag it again and place it on the level, I have another one, right? I can call it test2, and we have two instances of my same blueprint. Now, before I get into the framework, it's important that if you are new to Unreal and game development in general, you you understand the following concept. I'm going to add a variable here. I'll just call it number, and the default value is Boolean. Boolean can be true or false. I'm going to just click here, say it's an integer, and the default value will be 0. Now, this variable is part of the blueprint, and for each instance, I mean, these two instances have that same number, right? It's 0 in these two instances. What I can do here is make this variable instance editable. What does it mean? That when I click compile on the blueprint, okay, see the little I here, it means that it is instance editable. And when I do that and I go to the level, you're going to see that in test1 we have number it's visible. The variable that was a part of the blueprint at first now became instance editable, which means I can one here on test1, I can put a 2 in test2, and that will have a different value per each instance of the blueprint class. And this is what I want newcomers to wrap our heads around this concept. So the core idea is that each blueprint, each instance of blueprints can have different properties when they are placed in the level. That's the main attraction of blueprints. Let's start with the interesting things now. I'm going to go to test again, and I'm going to add a component here. There are lots of components. Some of the most common ones, you can have an audio component, which means that the blueprint can reproduce audio. Lights, static mesh. We say that a static mesh it's a static 3D model that doesn't move or do anything, such as the microwave. A skeletal mesh, which means it's a mesh with the bones. With bones, it can have animations, right? And the one that I am going to use a lot here is called sphere collision, right? And you can see here in the viewport that I can see the collision, the radius of the collision, which is 32 by default. If I go back to the level and I make an instance of the blueprint, I'm going to see the wireframe of the collision here. I'm going to put it in this passage between the kitchen and the living room. Okay. How's the connection now? Everything okay? Still seeing me? If you lose me, please let me know. I don't have the best connection here. And yeah, sorry about the setup as well. I know the Unreal Editor is a bit blurry. I probably need more monitors to do a proper stream. Okay. So are you seeing? I'm still now. Okay, cool. Thank you. So, okay, thank you. Now, I didn't get. Sorry, I still haven't tell you how we can move in this level. I'm not going to get to that part yet, but just imagine for now that when I play and I start moving around, there's a lot of testing happening behind the scenes. Unreal is doing a lot of work for us to figure out if we are colliding with something. In fact, the reason why we can't walk through walls is because Unreal is dealing with something and it won't allow you to go beyond that. Right? Okay? There is lots of collision testings right now. But I'm going to this trigger, right? This is the sphere. I'm going to call it trigger. Why? What I want to do here is that when the player collides with this component, I want something to happen. It's getting worse. Ah, damn it. Hang on. Oh, I see it's a pretty good signal here. It's going, now it's no more, okay. Ah, play mode being more expensive. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Thank you. Yes, it's possible. Okay. Thank you. Okay, let's see how this goes. Now, the main thing here about blueprints, and something that you need to get used to very quickly, it's that they rely a lot on events, right? So the way to communicate between blueprints is through events. And it's pretty much how operative system works, how games work in general. I mean, there's a lot of events, happening. An event that is triggered here, an object that receives an event, okay? So as you can see, the first time I create the blueprint, Unreal gives me the three main events that are most often used. I'm not going to use any of those anyway. So actually, I can show you very quickly. So if this is your first time dealing with blueprints, this is the event graph, right? Which is where the the whole programming happens, right? So as I told you, this is a visual language, okay? And how do we do this? I'm going to write, it says right here, right click to create nodes. What is a node? This is a node, exactly what we were seeing before. This is the node browser. I'm going to look up to search for event begin play. This is an event that every actor in the game receives when the game begins. So this I'm sure this I'm going to receive this event as soon as the player starts playing this level. The level being house. And I'm just going to show you another node, which is called print string. As you can see, this node is development only, which means that it will print a debug message. We love debug messages in game development. We use them a lot, just to quickly test if the behavior we are expecting is, it's actually, if everything is working according to plan. And I'm going to connect this node with this node. This is called the execution pin. So the white wires, we call these wires when we connect one node with another node. These wires is how the code will be executed in the direction of the wires. So when I receive the event, the next node will be print string. And we love to keep these wires as straight as possible. Sometimes it's not possible, and that makes us very nervous. I'm going to try and keep them as straight as possible because that's the good practice. And anyway, I'm going to just in the print string, I'm going to say, okay, event received. Typically, so I always hit compile. Pretty much everyone just hits compile just in case. So in theory, you can execute the game again without compiling the blueprint, but it has been known to fail from time to time, and it can create strange bugs until you figure out that the blueprint needs compiling. So typically, just compile before you execute the game, just to be on the safe side. And I'm going to hit play, and we can verify right there. You can see event received. So maybe that happened too fast. I'm going to expand the node with more options. I'm going to set the duration of the message to 6 seconds, just to look at it again. And you can see, okay, event received. There's my message. Okay? So, this is the basic idea behind programming blueprints. You just connect nodes. And we're going to have a pretty tangled, we're going to have many nodes at some point in this lesson. So don't panic if it's if there are too many of them. Anyway, the idea is I want to detect when this sphere collision component collides with the player. So there are many ways to do this. You can click on the component, and if you right click again, you're going to see that this node browser has context sensitive enabled. What context sensitive attempts to do is to give you the most used nodes and operations you might want to do with the selected component. It's the same when you click on a pin here, and you can drag from a pin and drop, release the mouse button, you get again the content, the node browser. Depending on the context, you will have more options more appropriate to what you want to do. I'm going to click on trigger, and one of the ways to do this is on overlap, add on component, begin overlap. And you can see that this node on component begin overlap has in parentheses trigger, right, which is my component. Another way to do this, you could drag, or actually, no, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to confuse you at this point, so I'm just going to add on overlap again, add on component, begin overlap, okay, and here we go. Many options here. We're just going to focus on one option. I'm going to, I want to know when another actor is colliding with me, okay? So I could just, I'm going to do this. First person character. I'm going to show you exactly what is first person character in a moment now, but for now, just imagine that it is the actor of the player. So the player, when you begin playing, there's an actor that represents you. That actor is the first person character. So what I'm doing here is, when another actor is colliding me, I'm going to test if the other actor is the one I'm expecting. The other actor being the first person character, which is us, the player. Cast is it's a concept of object-oriented programming. The idea being that if you look at this pin, at this blue pin, the result of this, so the type of this pin is an actor object reference. It's a reference to another actor. What I'm doing with this cast here is I am trying to convert the other actor to the first person character. This is called polymorphism, and it's one of the things you should just, if you're new to programming, don't worry about this too much. For all intents and purposes, what I'm trying to do here is simply I'm testing if the other actor is the first person character with this cast. So if the cast fails, it means that another actor collided with the sphere, and I don't care about that possibility. It's not going to happen in this game anyway, but what I want to do here is, if the actor that collided with me is the first person character, I'm going to print a string just to confirm, yes, it's the character, it's the player, right? I'm gonna hit compile, oops, play, and well, each time I collide with the player, I get the message, yes, it's the player. Okay? These are the main concepts. I just wanted to tell you if you are new to programming. Now I'm going to start doing things a little bit faster. Okay. This is the part that if there's something that you don't understand very well, I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat. Just let me know. But I'm going to start doing more interesting things from now on. So anyway, this PP test now is going to become what I call the spot base. I'm going to rename it to spot base, And this blueprints folder, I'm going to call it game logic. So the core element, the core blueprints of our adventure game framework are going to be in this game logic folder. I'm going to simplify things a little bit. So I don't want the default scene root. I'm just going to keep I can make the trigger the default scene root. How do we do that? I just drag the trigger here and the trigger becomes my default scene root. Why is that? What is the reasoning behind this? The main feature of the hotspot is that it's something that can be detected. So I kind of like that, you know, the trigger is like the main feature of the hotspot. Now, what the hotspot itself can have many other components, right? What I'm going to show you now is that a pretty neat feature of Unreal to just add functionality to an object to an actor that is already existing in the level. So I'm going to delete this here. Before doing the actually, yes, it's the player. Yeah, let me do it like this. So this is the microwave, okay? A static mesh component. You can see it right here, the static mesh actor, sorry. So this is an actor that is in the level. I can add blueprint functionality to any actor that is in the level, to an actor that is already existing in the level. And to do this, we click on this big blue button here, and the option I'm going to use is harvest. It's called harvest components, right? You can again, there are many ways to do this, right? We could create a blueprint from scratch, or that has, for example, a static mesh component here, static mesh, and I could add microwave, the static mesh, the microwave. I could add it to this component, and then I make an instance of this blueprint. When I do it like this, I like it that I don't have to adjust the position of the blueprint I am placing, because I just use a script. In that script, I'm going to search for spot base, which means I am adding the spot base blueprint to the microwave oven, to the microwave oven actor that already exists on the level. This is neat. I'm going to keep blueprint in the game logic folder, and I'm going to call it BP microwave. Okay. And here's when the magic starts, because the BP spot base, which was the base that it's going to be my main class, my main blueprint class. The BP spot base automatically got added the static mesh component of the microwave, and if I look at the level, I'm going to see BP microwave, right? So the static mesh that was my became the static mesh component of my spot base, and it's in the exact position. I'm going to put it back in the pigeon folder. I'm going to the suggestion Tmax editor console. I'm going to try it to set the yeah. Let me. I'm going to. There's a suggestion to cap the frame rate. It's capped. Oh, it's already capped at 60. It's already capped at 60. So, oh no, sorry. Sorry. Hang on. Okay. Hang on. I'll do it in a moment. Hang on. It's a good suggestion. Thank you. So, the microwave, it's the, here. And look at this now. The trigger, I'm going to make the trigger a little bit bigger. 50 here. You can see the preview here, and if I go back to the level, it's going to be a little bigger now. If I just walk towards the microwave, yes, you can see the message there. Every time I collide, it says throws the message. So let's start doing things, add even more functionality here. So the what I want to do now is to create a pretty yes, it's being recorded. Is it really bad? I'm trying to pay attention to all the stats. Is it really bad, the transmission? Hang on. So is it too laggy? Maybe I should 10 points only when okay. Yeah, just it may not be the same for every user. I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm recording it anyway. Okay, don't worry, I'm recording it. I don't have anything else open here. I just okay. Almost unwatchable. What I can do, hang on, what I can do is the following. I'm going to, okay, I have epic quality, so maybe, hang on, it's rebuilding some textures now. So I'm going to decrease the quality of the entire level. Now it's probably recompiling some shaders, so hang on. Okay. Give it just a moment. We did a test earlier and it seemed fine, but I didn't develop the lesson too much, like hitting play. So yes, it's possibly a CPU problem because I can hear the fan going nuts now. So give me just a moment. Yeah, I mean, I never play this level in medium quality, so it needs to recompile shaders once, and as long as you don't delete the cache, it just you can quickly switch between the different quality levels. So it's compiling now because I went from the highest quality to medium quality, which means it may spend a few moments doing this. I hope. Maybe I shouldn't have done this. Maybe. Okay. Yeah, jokes while it compiles. No, I don't have. I don't know any jokes now. No, but yeah, I can tell you. So this is pretty similar, at least the concept is similar to what we do in Asylum. Okay, so we have many different types of hotspots that inherit from a base hotspot. So some of the types of hotspots we have are the feedback hotspot, which is the first one that I'm going to create here. So the feedback hotspot simply throws a feedback message. Okay, when I detect a hotspot and I hit the interaction key, the hotspot will deliver a feedback. And believe it or not, just having that sort of there we go, just having that sort of functionality. Okay, no, there we don't go compiling 6,000 shaders. Yeah, this wasn't a good idea. Um, yeah, so don't worry. I just proceed with the lesson. It's not looking well. As soon as it finishes compiling, it's going to look much better, and hopefully work much better too. So anyway, can you show how to call a variable from BP class to Pong? Yes. So that is exactly what I was going to do now, but exactly what I was going to do. So let me show you just first. We need to understand how Unreal um, lets you control the player. Okay, so this is the first person folder, and I didn't create these blueprints by default because these are basically the first person template provided by Unreal. I'm going to show you a quick overview of each one of these things and what are they supposed to do. So the game mode are basically the rules of our game, right? Each level can have its own game mode, which means that you can have different rules for different levels. What this game mode does, in our case, in this particular lesson, I'm going to double click. It will create instances. Okay, it will as soon as the game begins, it will make instances of all these classes, and all of these classes are the default ones, and we are not going to pay attention to them because many of these are classes for multiplayer games. So there are lots of things here, but direct your attention to these yellow arrows you can see here, which is they are these yellow arrows means that these are not the default values. So the default values of the HUD class is the HUD class. HUD are the overlays of graphics and menu that that the player sees, and the default pawn class is the first person character, which is this one right here. So the game mode, when the game begins, it will make instances of the HUD and the character. This character here, this is the first person character class, and character is a very useful class provided by Unreal that allows us to very easily define the movements of the actor. Okay, I'm not going to explain all of this because it will make the lesson much slower. We will definitely post documentation on our Discord if you want to understand exactly what is happening behind the scenes. For the purposes of this lesson, remember that this is an actor, okay, that represents the player. Now, I'm going to add I'm going to add events here, yes, to the first person character. I'm going to call it, it's a custom event first, add custom event. I'm going to call it, hang on, notify spot detected. And I'm going to create another one, notify spot released. Okay, if you ever see warnings in blueprints, just hit compile again, and it sometimes the blueprint didn't reload correctly. Just if you see warnings, make sure if you hit the button, you should be fine. Of course, I mean, if the blueprint has errors, it will show you a big red warning message. It's going to happen to us, so don't worry. Now check this out. Check this out. I'm going to print a string here, just to make sure we understand the idea of a blueprint communicating with another blueprint. So the player, so the first person character defines an event called notify spot detected, okay? And the spot base, note that we are casting the other actor to first person character. When the cast is successful and I recognized the actor colliding with me, I can actually make operations with that actor, that the result that the cast is returning to me, which is the first person character. I could click on the pin here, I can drag and call the function notify spot detected. So yes, an event in a blueprint can be called as if it was just a regular function, right? And this is the magic of blueprints. It's really this simple. I'm going to go to the microwave, spot detected, okay? You can see the message, spot detected. Again, it means that I collided with the spot. I'm going to, hang on, I'm going to close all these tabs so that we focus on the important things. I collided with the spot here. The spot, so the trigger, the sphere collision reacted to my collision. I casted the actor to first person character, and then I called the function notify spot detected, which is this function here. Okay. Now, here's when the concept of hotspots comes really into action. I'm going to create a variable called detected spots. The variable detected spots will be of type spot base. Because when you create the blueprint is recognized by Unreal. It's like registered in the hierarchy of blueprint classes of this project. And I can just use it as if it was another type of variable, right? And I'm going to complicate things a little bit here because I want you to show you the how arrays work. So what's my logic behind this? I'm going to create a system which is future proof, you know. So if you want, for example, to being able to detect many spots at the same time and cycle through all those spots, I'm going to give you the basics to create that feature. I'm not going to do it here because I'm already 1 hour into the lesson and I need to speed things up, but I'm going to show you how you could create that. So this event can have a parameter. I'm going to add a new parameter here. What type of parameter? Spot base. And this is the spot. And it's going to be, what I'm going to do here is get a reference to the array of spots, right? And from this pin, I drag it. Notice that the context of possible nodes that I have, it's much shorter because again, the target is an array and really suggesting me all the nodes I can use to operate with this array. I'm going to look for add and I'm going to connect the execution pin. Remember, we always want to have the execution pins straight. And I'm going to connect the spot to here. And you know, this is like Ghostbusters. Do not cross two wires if you can. It's always bad practice to cross wires like this. Sometimes you can't help it. We really try to avoid it. So if you want to make things, you know, really look very elegant, you can just double click on any of these wires and to create a small how do you call this? Okay, a small point, and you can move the point, yes, to reshape the wire as you want. Okay. Notice something else, since we are talking about wires. Note how the colors always match. So the color blue means that this is a reference to a blueprint class. You're going to see that green is a float, and you already saw that Boolean is red. So if you're always trying to figure out how, I mean, it's a very quickly way to understand what a node expects as inputs and what it returns. As you can see, this returns an index, an integer. And check this out. I'm going to create a function now because I want to quickly test how this system works. The function is going to be called print spot debug info. This is a function. I can create nodes inside this function. The function will accept 3 parameters. Sorry, actually, just 2 parameters. I only want a name and integer. So wait, hang on, name, because let's add properties to the spot so that we can really identify what spot we are detecting, which spot we are detecting. So in spot base, I'm going to add another variable, which I'm going to call name. Oops. Name is a string, and my pleasure. I hope you are enjoying it. It's going a bit slow. I know it's going a bit slow because I am, you know, try to explain as much as possible, but I need to speed up things. So this distinction is important because it's always confused me a little bit. You have 3 types of string variables in Unreal. You have a string, you have name, and you have text. So the rule of thumb is the following. If you want a string, if you want to have a string as a sort of ID that you don't expect to change during runtime, you use name. If you're going to have strings that will be presented to the user as, for example, screen messages, character feedback, those are texts, because text has some additional features such as localization. Yeah. And if you expect to manipulate the string in some way, to make appends to the string and operations with the string, you use, well, string. Name, we're going to use name to define the spot, okay, to identify the spot. So I'm just going to call it name, precisely, the name of the spot. And the default value is going to be unknown, okay? And I have an error there, no problem, because spot doesn't match any parameters. Of course, I'm going to spot base, get a reference to self. Hold on a second. Okay, because, okay, yeah, it's probably because I didn't compile here. Yeah, so sometimes you get these weird problems and you don't understand what is going on. I was pretty sure that my notify spot detected was expecting a parameter of type spot, and it was still giving me an error, so I needed to compile the other blueprint, okay? So this is not quite necessary. As you can see, Unreal will attempt to if it's expecting a type of the same blueprint we are programming here, it's going to try and give a reference to the current blueprint. I want to be explicit, so I want to make it clear that we are passing a reference to ourselves, to the other blueprint. Compiling complete. Yeah. So hopefully this should be, I don't know, should be working better now. Fluid, maybe. I'm still hearing you, the fan working, working lots. So I'm going to do two things here. Now, going back to the first person character, let's finish this function here. So this is name. This is going to be the index. This is going to be the index at which the spot was detected. Remember that I'm going to try and detect many spots at once. And since we are just talking about the strings, I'm going to use the node string append. And check this out. This is a very neat node. The spot space name. Note how Unreal will, these aren't the same colors. So I have a variable of type name here, and this node is expecting a variable of type string. So when Unreal can perform the conversion, it will simply, suggest the conversion here, and this is the node used to convert between two variables. Okay, this little nifty small node. So the spot name, the other spot, at pin was detected at index space at pin index over here. Again, another conversion. There you go. And a dot, because I want to be, grammatically correct in all my messages. And I can drag from here to print string, connect, like this. And let's give it a more nice color like green, and 4 seconds of duration. This is fine, cool. We go back to the event graph, and when the spot is detected, I'm going to bring this function here, call print spot debug info, and notice this. It's something we often do, because we need to drag reference from one part of this event graph to another part, and this is a very nice situation to do it, because it's I don't have to throw a wire to the other remote side of the event graph. I just need to, from the spot base, I need to get the variable name. See what I did? It said get name. It's this name right here. Okay. I'm going to connect it here, and I'm going to pass the index at which the spot was added to the array to this index here. Yes, I had to cross the wires here. No, hopefully it's okay. You can cross the wires from now on then. And something else. I'm going to, when the spot is released, when we just stop detecting the spot, I'm going to, again, from the array detected spots, I'm going to, of course, I need something else. I need the parameter here, spot base, type spot, remove item, and I'll just pass this here. So Unreal is going to do all the heavy work for me. Typically when you deal with arrays, you need to do a lookup based on the index of the element in the array. I can just pass a copy of this item to this node, remove, and Unreal will try to detect if the item is present in the array. It will remove it from the array. And there we go, lovely. Another nice feature of blueprints, you can select all these nodes, press the C key, and detection of, or actually let's call this add, let's be more explicit, add or remove spots from the array. Wonderful. This is looking good. I'm going back to spot base now, and just as I added the begin overlap event, I'm going to add the end overlap event. Perfect. And same behavior, cast to first person character. And just as well, notify spot released. I'm going to compile. I'll always suggest save often, save early, save often, like in Sierra games, because Unreal does crash from time to time. Now, I don't like to see all those, we call these gizmos, the icons of the light, these are reflection spheres. You can press the G letter to remove all that and just focus on the game. I like that. And I'm going to collapse this again. So we have the microwave here. In theory, if I go near the microwave, there you go. The spot unknown, something else. I was missing just something else. I want to identify the microwave, of course. If we remember, the default value of name is unknown. I'm going to make name instance editable. Nice. And I go back to the level, pp microwave. something else. Microwave here has the M it's caps, and what I'm going to do, I mean, if I just hit play, you'll see that it doesn't, it sticks out from the phrase, yes, because of that caps. And I'm going to go to first person character, print debug info. When I pass this second variable to the node, when I'm doing all the appends, I'm going to use the node to lower, right, so that it converts the name of the spot to lower string. I can just click play again, and papa, the microwave was detected at index 0, 1, because I was, and yeah, it's breaking already. It's breaking already. I'm going to fix that now. So I was going to ask you, is it working better now, the transmission? When I hit play, are you experiencing lag, or you know, does it look bad? Seems good for me. Okay, excellent, much better. Okay, so that helped. Okay, cool. Spot. Okay, so this is what I was missing. Apparently, get a reference to self. Let me check again. Click play. Index 0. Huh. Okay, so I really, that's interesting. Okay, so what I was missing, I needed to do this. So I needed to be explicit and pass a reference to self. I thought this also worked, but clearly not. We need to be explicit and pass a reference to self. Thank you. Yes, it's the first time I'm giving this kind of lessons, and I know it's I probably need to go even faster. I hope you're not getting bored. So I'm going to show you now that it does work as we expect, because I'm going to add I'm just going to drag another logical spot right next to the microwave, right here, and I'm going to just overlap the spots a little bit. Test spot. Hit play. Test spot, index 0, microwave, index, okay, there you go. Test spot, index 0, yeah, microwave, index 0, test spot, index 1. When the spots are overlapping and I'm just colliding with both of them, my array is going to give a reference to these spots, yeah? Now, let's, instead of doing, you know, the all these debug print messages, let's start adding a nice, you know, interface, you know, just to show all these messages to the player. So I'm going to do something else now. A new folder called interface. Okay. And I'm going to create what it's called a widget blueprint. I'm going to call this UI messages. So widget blueprints, this is a new editor. This is more stuff you will be learning today. It's called Unreal Motion Graphics, UMG, right? It's Unreal's way of dealing with 2D graphics, you know, that are overlaid on top of the actual, you know, 3D world. And the best way to see how it works, I will just start creating all the elements I want to use, and you'll see it's very intuitive, you know. For example, we have a static text widget. I'm going to drag a text widget here and a text widget here. So this is a very easy way to position these elements, or these interface elements, where we want is to use anchors. So let's think about what I'm going to do here, okay? So this text on top of the screen will say press E to interact with spot, okay? And the text on the bottom is going to be the actual feedback. So I want this text here to be centered. So I'm going to use an anchor to the top center of the screen. Notice how you have many different ways actually to arrange these elements. So I can use like a pivot, this pivot on the top center, or this one. It's also nice. It will try to expand, right? Expand the text box to fit that upper region of the widget blueprint. So offset left 0, offset right 0, because these are the offsets, since the anchor is occupying the whole width of my viewport, right? When I use the offset 0, both from left and right, it's going to expand the text box to occupy all the width. Position 0 and size 40, it's fine. I'm going to just center, justification, center the text a little bit, and I want this to be a more subtle message, so I'm going to use regular typeface, 18, maybe light. I like that. Okay, and I will put it just a little, the position, just a little margin, you know, so that it's not stuck to the top of the screen. The same with feedback for now. I'm going to use the lower anchor, offset left 0, offset right 0, position 0. Sorry, position is actually okay. Yeah, it needs to be. I am moving upwards a little bit, and again centered. And let me make it a little, in case we have a long string of feedback, I'm going to say it's 80 in size, which means 2 lines of text. And the position, let's make it, yeah, close. There we go. Okay. Now, let's give proper names to these elements. I'm going to call this interaction message. The default text, it can be anything, because we are going to override the text anyway. And I'm going to make it a variable. Same with the feedback. It's going to be, I'm going to call it feedback, and it's going to be a variable. Now, this is there's often, you know, questions about what is the best way of doing this. You know, I mean, what I'm trying to do now, what I'm going to do is to, when I detect a spot, I want to present the message to the player, telling him or her to press E to interact with the spot. And same with the feedback. For now, I'm going to create, this is the event graph of the user widget, okay? It's also a blueprint, so it has events, pretty much the same stuff you can use in blueprints. I'm going to add some events here. The events are display interaction message, and the other custom event will be hide interaction message. And there's going to be another event which is called, I'm going to call it display feedback. Now, I need to have a more fine control over this interaction message because I wanted to show it when we detect the spot and hide it when we are no longer detecting the spot, okay? So I'm going to add, okay, this is the event. I'm going to add a parameter here, which is text. Remember, we are showing text to the player. So it's the type of variable text, and I'm going to call it message. This parameter that I have received here, I'm going to get a reference to interaction message. This is the variable that represents the UMG element of the widget, okay? And I'm going to do a set text, right? Connect here, connect here. And there's another thing I must do, because if I don't do this, the text should be hidden by default. So let's actually do that first. Both texts should be hidden by default. So I can look for visibility property, visible, no, hidden. Same with feedback. Visibility of feedback should be hidden, okay? So none of these are going to be shown by default. So go back to the graph, and I look for the node set visibility. Set visibility, yes, visible. Okay. Lovely. And same with when I want to hide interaction message, I'm going to get a reference to interaction message, and I'm just going to set visibility to false, because to hidden again. I don't care about the text because we're not going to see it anymore. So anyway, yeah, that should be fine. And in the case of display feedback, I want to make this event a sort of fire and forget, which means I just tell the widget, show this feedback, and a few moments later, just remove it yourself. So that I don't have to notify again the widget to remove the feedback. I'm going to make this just simply, you know. So in the case of display feedback, again, I need another parameter. It's text, and the parameter is going to be feedback, like this. Same logic. Get a reference to feedback. Let me save here, just in case that nothing. Okay. Set text, like this. I pass the parameter to the set text, and of course I also need to set the visibility. Again, set visibility. It's visible. And check this out. In the case of the feedback, yes, I want to just allow the widget to remove it after a certain period of time. That certain period of time, I'm going to create a variable here, which is called default feedback delay, which is a type float, and the delay, I don't know, 4 seconds maybe to begin with. You can just 5 seconds. You can tweak this yourself. I'm going to send you to allow to just upload the complete project later so that you can investigate all you want. And again, this is going to be a hard-coded delay for any kind of feedback, you know. So the proper way to do this is actually get a length of the text that you are showing on screen, and depending on how many characters you have in that text, you adjust the delay. That is what we do in Asylum, for example. So if it's a very short text, we sort of set a minimum delay to a certain amount of seconds. But if it's a longer text, we consider the amount of characters so that the delay gives us enough time to read all that text. With all the stuff I'm showing you here, you can do that pretty easily on your own. I'm just going to proceed and make this very, very quickly. Now, I love this function. This is, I always, recommend using timers. It's one of my favorite Unreal functions. Set timer by event. So as soon as we show the feedback, as soon as we display the feedback, we're going to launch this timer, okay? The time at which this timer will be triggered, we're going to drag this variable here and connect it here. Wonderful. Looping, no, we don't want to loop this timer, so we just leave that false. And this needs a delegate, right? So the concept of delegate is basically to tell this node which event will be handling this timer. Yes, and delegates are used elsewhere in Unreal as well. You can just drag from this little red box here, and if you paid attention, you will see that any custom event we create has the same square red box, which means precisely we can connect any kind of custom event. We can connect it to a node that requires a delegate. So this custom event is going to be called hide feedback, and I'm going to connect it like this. Perfect. And all I need to do when the timer is triggered, I just get the feedback and set visibility to hidden. And this is all I need to do, at least for now, with my user widget. Okay, just 3 simple events. This is pretty elegant. I'm feeling confident about this. I think this is going to work out of the box, so to speak. So we should be fine with this. Okay, how are we doing so far? Okay, this part. Are you still there? It makes me nervous when the chat is so quiet. I'm getting worried if people got asleep or if everybody left. So if someone just show me signs of life. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So this is stealth mode. I don't mind the chatter, at all. So if you want to just chat, it's good. Okay, cool. So one of the things that it's also good to understand, why Unreal encourages us to do things in a certain way. It's the idea of where try to understand where lies the responsibility of each class. So I could, for example, from my character, I could just this widget that I created here, I could show this widget from the character if I want. It's not the best way or the most appropriate way to do this, right? We have a better way to do that, which is using the first person HUD. So this HUD, if you recall, will be instanced by the game mode, right? And it's good practice to keep a reference to every widget you're going to have in game in this HUD. So with just one user widget, again, it's going to look a bit overkill what I'm going to do now, but I want to show you like what is the most appropriate way to do these things. In fact, if you take a look now, this is something that the first person template has by default. The HUD, one of the things the HUD can do is draw things on screen by hand. So right now this isn't connected. We can draw textures ourselves without even using these widgets. So just to show you, I'm going to connect this event to the node to draw the texture. It's simply going to place the texture on the exact center of the screen, right? By dividing the size of the viewport by 2, the size and height. And there you go, a crosshair, very small crosshair. You can play with this when I give you the project. You can make it larger, change the crosshair. What I'm going to do now is create the user widget. I mean, make an instance of the user widget. Remember that this is an asset. I mean, this is a blueprint class, which is an asset, right? You can see it in the interface. But to start operating with this widget in the game, I need to create an instance of it. So, with the person HUD, create widget. I'm going to do this in begin play. So, when the game begins, the HUD will make an instance of the UI messages, like this. The owning player is the player character. So this is something we often need to do in Unreal. We can have a blueprint of the player controller if you wanted. I don't need one for this lesson. If you want to create your own player controller blueprint, you need to go back to the game mode, this one, and in the player controller class, you set your own class, which inherits from player controller. In single player games, the player controller is rarely used, okay? And there's always one player controller, which is controlling, which is what you use, the people use to control the character through this controller. So typically it's mostly used in multiplayer games, okay? Nothing you need to worry about for now. We do need to pass the player controller that will own this widget to this node. And what I need to do afterwards, I need to keep a reference to this widget by using the variable, I'm going to call it UI messages reference, ref. The type is going to be UI messages, like that. So I just set the value of the variable UI messages to this one, which is returned by this node. And note that I can keep using these values. So this the same reference to the widget, it's passed through this node set, and it's very useful because what I want to do afterwards is add that widget to the viewport. Okay, add to viewport. So this means Unreal very kindly even connected the new node to the previous node. So this is very standard. This is the way to add widgets to the viewport, so that they are overlaid on top of all the action, right? The 3D action, and UI messages to viewport. And of course, if you have many other widgets, it's your responsibility to add or remove widgets as you please. We just need this one for now. Now, this is the part that may be a bit annoying, I admit it, because the HUD, in addition to creating a reference to the widget and keeping a reference to the widget, is going to act as a sort of object that passes events from one side to another. How do we do this? Why do we do this? Because you're going to realize now that one of the events that I need in the HUD is notify, let's call it the notify display interaction message. And all we are going to do is get the reference and call display interaction message. Of course, we're going to need another parameter here, which is also a text. My mouse is running out of battery, which is a big problem. Yay, technology. Imagine your mouse running out of battery. Now that is annoying. And I'm going to connect it like this. Yeah, I have another one, don't worry. Now, before I keep doing this, because I need to do more stuff. Hola, yeah, there are plenty of Latinos watching this stream. So let's try and see how it works. So notify interaction message. Let's go to the first person character, and as soon as the spot is detected, instead of this debug info, I'm not going to use this anymore. I'm going to do the following. Get player character, which is the character, it's the character that it's owning this. Get HUD. No, sorry, it's the player. It's the player controller. I knew something. Yeah, so no, because I am the character here. I need. Yeah, there we go. There we go. So the player controller owns the HUD. The character is not owning the HUD. So I need to go back one level. The player controller, which is also owning me, the character, that player controller is owning the HUD. So with this reference to the HUD, I'm going to cast the HUD to first person HUD. Okay. And as the first person HUD, okay, I'm going to remove that function out of the way. I don't need you anymore, pre-debug info, sorry. You did well, but it's time to go. As the first person HUD, I'm going to call the event notify display interaction message. And I'm going to organize things a bit more now, okay? But I want to do this quickly. So the message, I'm going to construct the message myself for now here. And I'm going to say string append. Press E to interact with a name. I connect these things here. Okay. I'm going to do a much better. I'm going to arrange this code a bit more now. Let's just confirm that this is working as we expect. Let's save everything. Okay. So go back to the house. And when I approach, press E to interact with microarray. Yes, I need to do more. I need to do more because I'm just only showing the message. I need to then remove the message, but the communication between the spot and the character with the user widget is working well. In this case, the HUD is simply passing through the message from one way to another. Again, it is possible to make the character own the widget. It's not the most appropriate way to do it. And one of the ways, for example, let me show you one of the ways we can use the HUD to gain more responsibility. So I had this nice function created here. The function is called build interaction message. And this function, okay, it's going to be it's going to be simple for now, but when I make spots that can be picked, it's going to be more, it's going to get more interesting. All I'm going to do for now is just, I can close UI messages. So I'm going to create, I'm going to copy this here. Let's make it more elegant. And what I need here is a parameter, again, the name of the spot. Let's call this item because we're going to be interacting with items here. So the function is a bit more explicit this way. And I'm going to again convert the name to the string to lowercase. And I need an output now. So the output, it's going to be a text and the name, and I'm going to call it message. So nothing particularly new here. I'm just creating a function to build this interaction message. So in the event graph, instead of receiving the message, what I can do now is receive a name, and it's going to be item. So this is actually, I knew it had to break because the blueprint didn't realize that I changed the type of variables. It was still connected. Of course, that wasn't going to work. So I'm going to use my function now, build interaction message from here, and we compile to make sure everything is perfect. Wonderful. And I'm going to push this down below. I need the other event now, which is called a custom event notify hide interaction message. And this is way more simpler because I just need to get a reference to the UI and call hide interaction message. Very well, like that. Okay. And I'm going to call all of these events here notifications. Okay, there we go. So back to the character. Of course, I have errors now, and this is expected. Okay, I don't need this now because I gave more responsibility to the HUD. So the HUD only receives the name of the item. The HUD class will create the corresponding message for me and pass it to the user widget. So yes, you could do some of that in the widget, but my preference is to keep the widget as dummy as possible. So try to have as little logic as possible in the widget class itself. That's why we have the HUD. Yeah. Welcome to all the new followers. I have no idea how many people are watching this. I'm just I don't have the stats here, so I hope you are enjoying this. So now I can just pass the name like this. It's much easier. Let's arrange the wires, and there we go. So when I stop detecting the spot, right, I need the following now from the same HUD reference. Yeah, I need to cast the HUD. I can create a function to avoid doing this so often. But let me just make sure it's all working as expected. And as the first person HUD, I'm going to call notify hide interaction message. So all we just did now, the same we did to show the message, I'm doing it to hide the message. I sent an event to the HUD, and then the HUD passes through that event to the widget blueprint. Oops. So let me just, I'm going to remove this spot base, this test spot that I have, and let me, okay, press E to interact with microwave, and when I walk back, it just, the message disappears. So hey, yes, it was a lot of work, but we have, something is happening in the level. Hey, time to celebrate. So next step, we want to show the feedback now. So how are we going to do that? Back to the character. Let me double check how much battery I have in my mouse. 2%. I'm going to propose you the following. Let's make a 5-minute break. It's been 2 hours. I'm going to try and wrap everything up in about 1 hour. But let's make a pause of 5 minutes, and I'll be right back. Okay, just stay there. And I'm going to take the opportunity to charge my mouse before I run out of battery. So be back in 5 minutes. You can hear me breathing. Thanks for the heads up. You just missed very exciting things. Yeah. Okay, hang on. Let me... Okay, chatting. I'm charging the mouse now. I must remember to charge my mouse before doing a stream. Okay. I see an error. Maybe no, maybe they're just out in the park. So it's all very quiet. Pa, pa, pa. So is the stream doing well? Because I see there's a big error. Oh no, it says good now. Okay, should be fine. Thank you. Okay. So let me check my notes. And get current item. Yeah, I'm going to simplify some things because, okay. Let's go back. Unreal. Okay. So let me try and speed things up. Here we have this spot. I need to display the feedback now. Going back to the spot, then. So this is the spot detection, which is working well. Spot detection, and I'm going to create a new event for the spot. The event is going to be called trigger interaction. So every hotspot in the game is going to have this event, which, as you're going to see, we can actually override this event from instances of this class. For now, all I'm going to do here, I'm going to add a new variable, which is going to be called feedback. It's going to be of type text, and the default text can be nothing of interest. This is the default text. Now, when the hotspot receives this event, I want to notify the hub to display the feedback. So we did this before already. I'm going to get a reference to the player controller, pop, then get a reference to the hub, pop, and then call, sorry, I need to cast this hub to my first person hub. Yes, this is something we must do very often, this process of getting a reference to something and then cast it to make sure we are getting the right reference. This is one of the annoying things about object-oriented programming. It's pretty much how how it's done. So as the first person HUD, I'm going to notify display. Oh, actually, I don't think I added. No, I haven't added that message, that notification yet. So I'm going to. I need here to add custom event notify display feedback, and it's the same. I'm going to be using a variable, a parameter of type text. This is the message. Now, one thing I forgot to mention you, I am trying to use a reference to an object that in other situations it may not exist, or better say, I may not have a reference to an instance because it wasn't instantiated yet. So one way to verify if an object is valid, it's precisely to use a node called isValid. So every time I use this object, I ask, hey, is this valid? If it's valid, I do all the things I want to do with it. I don't need to do this here in this particular case because I am keeping a reference. I am creating the widget myself and I'm setting a reference to the widget. I am saving a reference to the widget in the UI messages variable. So I don't need to verify each time I use this reference, but keep it in mind, sometimes you need to do that. So this is the reference to the widget, and I'm going to call display feedback. I can just pass through the parameter feedback, connect it here, and that should be it. Going back to the spot base, as the first person HUD, I'm going to call notify display feedback, and the message, it's my own feedback. So this feedback, I wanted to make it instance editable precisely so that each instance of my hotspot can display a different feedback. I'm going to hit compile for now, and let's give it a try. Because I go to the microwave. Oh, of course, I need something else. I need something else, of course, because I have the event. This is lovely. I have the event, but who's going to call this event? Of course, trigger interaction. Let's recap what's happening here. So the character will collide with the spot. The character will be keeping a reference to all the spots it has detected. So when I press the action key, what I need to do from the character is notify the corresponding spot, rather send the event to the corresponding spot. Now, I think you need to always in Unreal you need to create bindings, meaning you bind a key or a motion of the mouse or a button of the gamepad to a binding precisely. So let me show you how that works. In project settings, you go to input, and I have the action. I already mapped the key E to the action interact. You can see other mappings or bindings here. It's essentially the same. So you can see some other mappings. For example, move forward. We have all these all these possible ways to trigger this axis movement. So I don't want to spend too much time here because it's actually there's a lot more theory and stuff we need to discuss about these bindings. But for now, just imagine that I'm mapping the moment I press a key to an action. An action that you're going to see this action interact. When I created this mapping, I can go to the first person character and simply right here I can call the input or the action event interact. So the input action interact. Yes, you could also create or add, for example, bind an event to the E key, just like this. You look for or look for input E, and you could just add the E key like this. But it's much better, of course, to use the action mappings because you configure all the potential ways to trigger that action in your project settings, and then you just deal with the specific event here, right? So anything you bind to the action interact, whenever that button key or whatever it's pressed, you're going to receive this event in the corresponding blueprint, in this case the character. So when I press interact, what I want to do is the following. Of course, I need to confirm that I am detecting a spot, because otherwise I don't need to do anything here. So I'm going to get a reference to the array of spots. So as I told you a few moments ago, I'm not going to add too much functionality to this array of spots. We could add more mappings to cycle through all the detected spots. We could do it, that should be done right here. That's a bit out of the scope of the lesson, so what I'm going to do for this particular case is get a reference to the last spot that was detected. Why is that? Because the last spot that was detected, so the interaction message that will be displayed in the user widget will correspond to the last spot that was detected. How do I do that? I use the node last index, which means which is the higher index of this array. Well, this is pretty much in all of the programming world, the first index in an array in Unreal is 0. So the array starts at position 0. We saw that when we played the game. When I detected the spot, the first index was always 0. So last index could be 0, 1, 2, depending where the last spot was detected. So from here, I'm going to get the spot that is at the last index. Let me organize this a little bit, like this, something like that. Okay. Yeah. And it is possible, of course, that I am not detecting any spot here. So what I'm going to do is use the same node that I showed you a few moments ago is valid. Because if it isn't valid, it means that there's nothing in my array. It doesn't matter if, the index 0 could have a copy of a spot or not. I just, with the node is valid, I'm going to verify if that is true or not. If it's valid, then I can get through the reference to that spot. I'm going to trigger the interaction. Now let's see if this works as expected first. Let's go to the house. Let's save just in case everything explodes. And when I hit play, yes, it works. And because the user widget is already prepared, there's nothing else I need to do. That was the timer. I press E, nothing of interest, and 5 seconds later the message goes away. And when I walk back, the interaction message gets removed. And hey, this is already, I mean, this is pretty good because I can change the feedback here. Says thank you, I'm not hungry. And if I hit play and I go back to the microwave, yeah, wow, right? Yeah, so and now, because this is working beautifully and it's very reusable and all of that, I'm going to show you a different way to just add this blueprint to the scene. Because if you recall, what I did at first was go to the static mesh of the microwave. I added the blueprint to the actor, to the microwave actor that was in the level, Unreal automatically created a new blueprint. It collected or harvested the components of the blueprint of the actor that was in the level and merged the components of that actor with my blueprint. So this is the blueprint BP microwave. And if you look at the content browser, we have an asset that it's called BP microwave. And if I double click on BP microwave, I could go to the preview of the blueprint, and I see the microwave and the trigger that I did. So this is just to show you that we have many different ways of doing things, and the best way to do them is it depends on what you need, because perhaps you have microwaves all around the house. You have a microwave in the bathroom, a microwave in the garden, because I don't know, you just love microwaves a lot, and it makes sense to have a blueprint of microwaves so that you just can place all the microwaves you want anywhere else. But I mean, you could just drag the blueprint here. I'm going to do the same to the fridge, and notice I'm going to put the spot just where the fridge is, right? This fridge is a static mesh actor, same as the microwave before, and in this case now I have a blueprint on top. I mean, I'm going to put it in the same folder, and I'm going to call it refrigerator spot, and it's essentially the same. I mean, it's the same. It's going to be the same case as with the microwave, because I'm going to collide with this sphere. The name, I can just call it refrigerator, and I'm going to say I would kill for a beer. Okay. I am projecting my needs on the player. And yeah, press E to interact with refrigerator. And it works. It really, really works. Okay, so we have two spots now, two different ways to make an instance of the spot blueprint, right? And I can interact with them. Okay, so this is one part of what I wanted to do now. So the second part, it's going to get more complicated. I hope this is working well. I don't have much time left, but let's give it a shot. Let's give it a shot, because what I want to do now is to create, to make an item that can be picked. Yes, I would kill that. This is how horror games get started. You know, I would kill for a beer. Yes. Well, I have water, just not as good, but okay. Now, let's go back to the foyer. So I'm going to move this. Whoa. I'm going to put the move the player start. Damn it, this mouse. Okay. There we go. Now I have a key, and my goal is being able to pick that key. Okay. Make the light flicker when fridge open. Okay, yeah. No, hang on. Let me. I want to focus on the framework here, and show you that the first thing I'm going to do is to add a new type of blueprint. This blueprint is going to inherit from spot base, and it's going to be called BP pickable item. So I need to change just one little thing in spot base. I'm going to add a variable that is called type. And before I set the type, let me show you one more feature of Unreal. Let me close all the stuff that I'm not using anymore. All of these, and in-game logic, I'm going to add something that it's called an enumeration. This is an enumeration. It's a collection, or a collection of identifiers. Enumeration is going to be called spot types, or types of spots. And here I'm going to add two types of spots. The first type of spot is going to be feedback. The second type of spot is going to be pickable. So this is a spot that simply shows a message, and this is a spot, or rather an item that can be picked. Foul spot. Okay. So we have spot types, and now magically I can set the type of the spot to spot types, and the spot base is going to be of type feedback, which means this type pickable item. Now check this out, because the variables that I created in spot base, you can set the default values in a class that inherited from this spot base. So the type is going to be pickable. In the case of pickable item, the type is going to be pickable. Name unknown, and just a regular item, the default message, okay? Would you add interactive sound and UI sound triggers among these scripts? Yes, absolutely. So this is a good question. For example, I would say if you need to add a sound, you can go to first person character. In the case of interact, for example, when you trigger interaction, you just play sound, do the, and it's another asset, right? You need to create the sound asset and you just play it here. You can do that. It's perfectly fine. So I would add when you pick the items, you could have a function or an event that you just call that event and play the corresponding sound when you pick the item. We can show you in our Discord community afterwards how to do all that. Yes. So let me pickable item. It's set to pickable. Now, let me just show you the idea behind. The concept behind this framework. Okay. The inventory is going to have only one slot, right? I can only pick one item at a time because I want to, make it a very simple framework. I can implement it within the next few minutes. So I can pick an item, put it back on the same position, or use that item elsewhere. Okay? So what I'm going to do is when I pick the item, and the character will keep a reference to that item. I'm going to create it just right now. Current item. Current item is of type BP pickable. Okay. And it's not an array. I don't know why. Okay. That is how you change. How do you you click on this icon here and set an array or just a single variable. It's just one item I can have. If you want to have multiple items, you could have an array. And speaking of which, Agustin Delger, the programmer, the lead programmer in Asylum, he has decided to do another live lesson in which he will show you how to create a complete inventory system with user widgets. Okay, so this is my lesson is more focused on blueprints and the logical side of the framework. So the other Agustin will show you how to more advanced UMG. Yes. Hello. I hope. As long as you are not scared to do this, thank you very much. I think on Thursday he will do this. He will do this next Thursday. So let me create some functions here. One function is going to be called set current item. Set current item. Clear current item and get current item. I'm going to need another variable. I'm going to use it just to understand whenever the character is holding an item or not. The variable is appropriately going to be called isHolding item, going to be of type Boolean. And let's organize. This is a neat feature. So I have a category for these variables. The category is I'm going to call it so inventory, right? So when you set the category for variables, they are grouped together in this small folder here. Same with the functions, category, inventory, or well, I can just use the drop down selector now, get current item, and holding item, let's compile, is going to be false by default, and in set current item, I'm going to receive, this is what I need to do now. I need to pass a parameter to these functions. So the parameter is always going to be pickable item. This is the item in question. The function set current item will set the current item. Rather, let's make it a little more robust, right? Let's ask first. So, am I holding an item? I don't think this is the first time I'm using branches. I think so. Yes, I think so. So let me go back to set current item. You can drag from any Boolean pin, right? Lookup branch, and you create a branch like this. Or this is a nice shortcut. You press the letter B, then click with the mouse, and you have a branch. You have the branch node. So let's ask, okay, is the player holding an item? If it's holding an item, then we did something wrong. We don't do anything. We just leave it there. If it's not holding an item, we set the current item like this. And finally, we set holding item to true. There we go. Nice. Clear current item is basically the same. I'm just I don't need a parameter here. I'm just going to set current item to nothing. So if you don't pass a value to these set nodes, it just uses an empty, or it's not null as in C++. It's rather known. It's known. It just sets the reference of an object to known, and we set holding item to false. And get current item, in this case, I need an output, right? Thank you. So the parameter is going to be pickable item, and we return the item. Let's, just in case, let's ask, well, it's the same. I just return the item. Yeah. So I have these functions now, okay. And what I need to do next is, let's quickly test it before getting to the real problem of this implementation. Let's try and pick the key quickly by doing the following. I'm going back to my widget, user widget interface here, UI messages. So I'm going to leave an empty slot here, right? I'm going to use image. This image, which is going to represent the item that I have picked. Size, square sized, something like that. And in this case, it's overlapping a little bit with the interaction text box. So interaction, I can just say, yeah, something like that. It's a rather short message, so it doesn't matter. Cool. By default, this image, this white image, right, which is the default color of this element, I'm going to make it like the opacity. I'm going to set it at the 50%, or maybe just 25%. That's fine. And going back to the graph, the event graph, I'm going to go a bit to here, create a new event. I'm going to call it set inventory thumbnail. Set inventory thumbnail. I'm going to pass a parameter to this event of type texture. To the texture. Yes. Hi and welcome. Don't worry. I am recording everything. Yep, I am recording everything, so don't worry. We got you covered. Texture 2D, this is the parameter, this is called thumbnail. And I'm going to set this thumbnail to, let me change this this variable, let me make it more elegant. Thumbnail. Thank you. Thumbnail. Yes. Oops. Hang on. Let me zoom in the blueprint. There you go. There you go. Okay. So inventory thumbnail. So when I set the inventory thumbnail, okay, I'm going to set an image. I need to do two things here, which is set the image of the item to the image of this UI element. That's step one. The node to do this, it's called set brush from texture. So these UI elements of UMG, they make use of this brush, and the way to, you can, I mean, the brush can be a color or an image. So when I use the node set brush from texture, I am automatically setting this placeholder image to the texture image that will be defined in the pickable item class. So I just pass through the texture like this, okay, and then I need to set the opacity. Sorry, no, this let's make things a bit more clear here, because I got confused myself. So I'm going to call this thumb place holder. Compile, nice, and thank you. And this is the thumbnail image or thumb texture. There we go. This is more clear now. So the thumb placeholder, I need to set the opacity to 100%, right? So remember that opacity is always represented by a float that goes from 0 to 1. So 1 is 100%, 0.25 would be 25%. And actually, this is, I'm going to use the same event so that I don't have to create so many events. I'm going to add a parameter here, Boolean, which is called clear. When clear is true, all I do is remove, just show the white image again. So to do that, if clear is true, let me arrange the nodes more elegantly like this. If clear is true, I set brush, set brush from texture to none. I reset the brush to its default color and set opacity to 0.25. I think it was the default. Yeah, I think it was 25, 0.25. Okay. Inventory thumbnail. Beautiful. Of course, I need to connect false here. So, if clear is false, I set the texture to the thumbnail texture. And this is all I need to do here. What I need to do again, I need to go back to the HUD and create the event to notify the user widget. I need to make a little bit room here. The event in question, let's call it notify set inventory thumbnail, okay, and UI message is the reference to the UI messages, and here the event set inventory thumbnail. Wonderful. And let me add a parameter. I need to pass through another parameter which is going to be a reference to the texture. Now this is a lot of work, but when it's working, when the framework is working, it all comes together, and it's a beautiful moment. Trust me. So thumbnail here, like that, and I pass it like this. And since I'm here, and I'm just going to add one final notification to the HUD, which is going to be called notify clear inventory thumbnail. And all I'm going to do here is just called set the event set inventory thumbnail of the user widget with clear set to true. To true. That's it. Okay. So what I need to do next is to the pickable item, I will add a new variable that is going to represent the inventory item. This variable, as we established, is going to be a texture 2D. Okay. Compile, instance editable, and this is going to be called thumbnail. Okay. Now, what I need to do next to make it all come together, let's do it like step by step. Before complicating things a bit and using a pretty nifty macro that I created for this, let's just ask, okay, so the detected spot, is it an item? So I bring the type, get type of spot, okay? Get type of spot, switch on the type of spot. Now this node, because the type of variable is an enumeration, this node automatically will give me output pins for each type of each type of possible spot I can detect. Okay, so if it's valid, if everything is okay, let me just push it. Organize the wires a little more. If it's valid, I'm going to switch on the type of spot, and if it's feedback, cool, I trigger the interaction. If it's pickable, okay, just to show you how things are looking from the game. So if it's pickable, I'm going to again need a reference to the hub. And since I'm doing this, let me create this is good practice. Let me create a quick function to get a reference to the HUD, because we use this very often. So what I'm going to do here, let me close all these tabs which are bothering me. Come on, okay. Copy, get player controller, get HUD, cast to first person HUD. All of these, I will copy all of these to the function get HUD. And actually, it's not a function. It's not a function. Let me show you how macros work in Unreal. They are pretty useful. So a function, we've seen already what's the logic behind functions. We have parameters, input parameters, output parameters, right? So a function is like a self-contained bit of code that belongs to the blueprint. A macro is not, it's sort of like a function, but it's not a function. It's actually a collection of nodes. But it's just perfect for this case, because the thing with macros is that they can have new macro, sorry. They can have several output pins. And check this out. My macro is going to be called get HUD, right? I don't have any inputs, or I don't have inputs of any sort, not even execution inputs. My macro is empty. I'm just going to copy these nodes here, and I'm going to use one input pin, the type of parameter, if you want it here, is execution. It's not a variable, it's actually an execution pin. And same here. I'm going to add two parameters to the macro, which is going to be called successful and not successful. Okay? And the execution, the input pin, I'm just going to call it in. So when I call the macro, I'm going to execute from the input execution. I'm going to attempt to cast a reference to the HUD to the first person HUD, and if it was successful, I actually need another pin now, which is a reference to the first person HUD, and first person HUD. There we go. So when we put this macro to action, I basically condensed these three nodes that I'm using very often to just one node, and I'm going to use it here, get HUD. So if it's pickable, before adding more logic, I'm just going to show you how we are going to pick the item, just like that. As first person HUD, I'm going to notify set inventory thumbnail, if it's successful, of course, and the thumbnail, I'm going to take it, remember this wire that I'm dragging all the way from the beginning of this chunk of nodes, okay? I'm going to connect a new wire here and get the thumb. Oh, of course, I need to do something else. Let me explain the following again if you're new to game development, because it's going to be a bit weird what I'm going to do, but it's perfectly legal in game development. So the type of spot that is collected into the array of spots, we're going to check it out, is the spot base. It's the BP spot base. However, if the spot in question that I'm detecting is a pickable item, I can just as well store a reference to that spot in the array of spots. Why? Because the base class is the same, okay? So in reality, pickable item, we can check it out here. I'm going to go to class settings, sorry. The parent class is PP spot base, which means that I can detect spots of type pickable item and just add them to the array of spots just like that without issues. However, when I retrieve a spot from that array and I need to operate with the properties of the pickable item, I need to cast that spot, the BP spot base, to the pickable item class. And I'm going to do it here. I'm going to, let me make room, cast to pickable item. So, the spot type, is it pickable? Yes, it's pickable. Okay then. So please, cast the reference to the spot base, just cast it to pickable item, so that I can, as pickable item, get the thumbnail, which I need for the notification event, which is going to be passed through to the user widget. Yeah. Welcome to the world of game development. And I'm doing things pretty, I'm keeping things pretty straightforward, I have to say. So, compile. Let's just quickly try if this works, okay? So, saving asset, okay, let's go back to the house. Here's the key. I'm going to, let's just convert it again to a key. Blueprint name, BP key. I'm going to keep it in the path. No, hang on. Let me create a new folder. Yeah, new folder called items. Oops, no, I meant to create a new folder here in the root. Actually, game logic, this microwave shouldn't be here. It shouldn't be here in this folder items. And now let's go back to our key. I'm going to add the blueprint, and now I'm going to call it BP key. BP key in the folder items, and I'm going to harvest the components of the key that is in the level and search a pickable item. Select. Okay. Now, our key that was here in this small desk, it's a BP key now. Let's just call it key. And I'm just overriding the default values of this class. Name, key, and the thumbnail. I had some textures here in this project before I began the lesson. They are here. For example, I have a book and a key. So I can, for example, we have many ways of doing this. I could look up the texture. Search the asset here, key thumb, or I can select the asset from the content browser and click on this neat little arrow here. It tries to set the selected asset to the property of the blueprint class. Now, we have the thumbnail. Let's just try and see if this works. Okay. So I am detecting the key. Note the white folder there. So okay, that works. There's nothing else. We need more logic, but at least, just think about all the stuff that went behind the scenes here, because the same type of base spot, I gave it one more layer of functionality, which is now, it can be picked. Whenever I interact with that spot, whenever I interact with all these spots, based on the type of spot, I can do two different things now, okay? Either trigger the interaction of the spot or attempt to pick it up, okay? Now, let me, it's 6 p.m. my time. I need to be right back to coordinate homely stuff with the family. Give me just a couple of minutes and I'll be right back. Are you still there? Did you fall asleep? Am I making any sense? Folks? Everybody? And Okay. They're still in the part of the daily pattern now. So let's try to wrap up the next yeah, this is quarantine for us. Our schedules are upside down. So this is the macro that I want to show you. Yeah. Okay. Let me review. Breaking up. I'm breaking up. Super laggy when your camera is full. Oh, wow. Okay, hang on. Is it going back to normal now? Am I going back to normal? Hang on. Wait. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Now? I don't get it. I mean, it's the. I don't get it. What's. Okay. Hang on. I'm almost done. So. Let me do this quickly then. Wonderful. Let's just before I proceed, let's think about the possible situations that we can have based on the framework that we designed here. Now, this we need to figure this out. We need to understand this because otherwise, what I'm going to do next won't make any sense. So, up until now, whenever I press the E key to interact with the spot, I am handling two possible outcomes with this little bit of code that I did here. Those two possible outcomes are either trigger the feedback of a hotspot or try to pick an item that is pickable. But I want to handle two more scenarios, which is put back the item in the place where it was before, or I am detecting an item that can be picked, but I'm already carrying another item. So it's four possible outcomes. The hotspot throws a simple feedback. Okay, so throw the feedback, show the feedback to the player. The hotspot is pickable. Okay, three things can happen. I am not carrying an item, so I can pick up that item. I am carrying another item, which means I can't do anything with that item. Or I am carrying the same item that was in that spot, which means I can put it back. Let me now create this very nifty macro here. The macro, it's not the most elegant macro in the world, I'm going to confess it to you, but it's very useful because I can handle all these four scenarios very easily with just one node. So the macro, I'm going to call it should pick item or not. Should pick item. Maybe I will think of a better name next, but for now this is fine. So in the input, I'm going to pass the spot so that this macro can do several operations with it. pp spot. Sorry. What is this? Spot base. Thank you. Spot base. And this is spot. So from spot, I'm going to get the type of the spot. Okay, let's create the output so that we know where we are going finally. So the possible outputs are going to be execution pins. Of course, I also need an execution pin here uh, to, 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 to get into the macro. There's when you don't have execution pins in these macros, they are called pure because you just get reference and you just get a reference, do some operations with that reference and return a value. That is also possible. You can do that with the macro. In the macros I'm creating here, I always need to execute things inside these macros. So the first parameter or output pin is going to be pick, or it's not pickable, or put back, or it's a different item. Commentary. Now, sometimes I put spaces when these are actually the names of the variables. So when Unreal represents these names of variables in the pins, it automatically will add a space. So it's better practice to put the words together in this is called Pascal case. You use an uppercase for the beginning of each word. So let's avoid spaces in these names of variables or execution pins. Now, pick, not pickable, put back, or different item. I will compare the type to equal enum. I need to compare this type of variable with the enumeration, with the collection of enumeration. And there we go. I will compare this to pickable. Okay. Branch. I test the condition, whether is it pickable or not pickable. So if it's true, let's think about this. If it's false, this is really simple because it's not pickable. Fine, I don't care. It's not a pickable item, just whoever called this macro decides what to do afterwards, but it's not pickable. Cool. Now, if it's pickable, we need to ask first one thing. Is holding an item. Get is holding item. Good. So, are we? Let's try to arrange. I need to cross some wires. Sorry, Peter Bankman. I am crossing the streams. I'm crossing the streams. So if I am holding an item, I need to ask something else. So, if I am holding an item, is it the same item or not? How do we verify that? We can do that by comparing the name of the spot. So, I have a reference to the spot here. I'm going to get the name. I'm also going to, from my current item, I'm going to get the current item and the name of the current item, and I will simply let's align these nodes here, and I'm going to compare them. Is it the same? So the spot that I am testing with this macro, is it the same as the one I'm holding, okay? If it is, if it's the same, I can put it back. If it's not the same, it's a different item. And we need to do something else here. Is holding item false? So if we are not holding an item, we can pick the other item. And if we are holding an item, we test whether it's the same, it belongs to the same spot that I'm interacting with. Now, this will make a bit more sense when I put it in the code. I could arrange things a little better here. Okay, it's fine. Like I said, it's not the best macro in the world, but trust me, it's going to sort out lots of issues next. So let's go back to my event graph now. Let's go back to my event graph, and here is the interact action. Whoop. Yeah, it's not so bad. So instead of testing the type of spot here, I don't need this now. I just call my macro. Yeah, actually, this makes more sense. Should pick or put back item. It's a bit more explicit. Should pick or put back item. I pass a reference to the spot. So if it's not pickable, I just trigger the interaction as I used to do. If it is pickable, let me make more room here. If it is pickable, I will need to make one cast here. I think I'm going to, yes, just put, okay. Here we go. If it's pickable, the same. Pick item, get HUD, notify, send inventory, thumbnail. That's all. So I need to do something else. I mean, the only thing that I did until now is just notify the HUD, which in turn notifies the user widget. I need to set the current item as well, because otherwise I won't keep a reference to the item I just picked. So I call set the current item, and I need to drink more water. Thank you, Martina, for reminding me to drink water. Yes, I am drinking water. Thank you. What, my voice is already sounding raspy? Yes, over 3 hours. I thought it was going to be faster. Okay. Set inventory. Let me review my notes. What's the best way to, yeah, set inventory thumbnail, set current item. Okay, yeah, it's good, it's fine. Now, put back. When I put back the item, I am going to do the same here. I'm going to, yes, I need to cast it. I mean, I could rearrange things a little bit and do this cast before doing all this. When I upload you the code, I have a much nicer version of this, okay? So for now, just try to imagine that depending on the outputs, on the potential outcomes of this macro, we are going to do different things. So if we can put back the item, I am going to first get a reference to my HUD again. As first person HUD, notify, set, notify clear inventory thumbnail. Yes. Actually, no, I will need this. I will need this reference as well. I'm going to show you why. I'm going to need this reference as well. Notify clear inventory thumbnail and clear current item. Okay. And if the item is different, okay, I'm going to do something else. I need to do something else. I just need to display a different message. But this is almost ready. This is almost ready. Okay. Let me do one more thing to the pickable item. I'm going to create two events here. One event is going to be called show item, and the other event is going to be called hide item. So remember our entire logic of these spots blueprints. Trigger is our root component. The way I'm using this in the game. Let's check out the BP key, for example. I will just attach components to this root component. So the root is the trigger. It has other components attached to it. Now, if I go to my pickable item, let's close the things I won't be using here. If I go to the pickable item and I just set visibility, I set the visibility of the trigger to false, it will hide the trigger and anything else that is attached to it. Which means that the static mesh component that was representing the key on the level is going to be hidden. Actually, this is it's the exact opposite, because show item, I set the visibility to true, and in the case of hide item, I set the visibility to false, like that. Nice. So we're almost done. We're almost done. Back to the first person character. I need to, again, so it's like 3 operations, and this code could use a bit more of cleanup, but for now it's fine. We set the thumbnail in our widget. We keep the current item, we set the current item that is holding the character to this item, the key. And one more thing, now we call hide item. We call the event hide item in the spot. So now you need to, just to understand very well what we are doing, it's like I am treating the spot as a placeholder and the item itself a reference. Shut up, Siri. And the reference to the item itself is going to be kept in the character. So, as pickable item, I'm going to do the same exactly here, show item. When I put the item back, I show it in the level again. Now, let's leave the wires beautifully arranged. Let's give this a shot, okay? there's the key. I pick the key. Okay, hang on. The key is still in the level. This is working very slowly. Give me a moment. Hide item. Hide item. Hide item, new visibility. Oh, of course. Actually, I need to do this. I need to set propagate to children to true. I mean that's I needed to set that parameter to true so that the visibility the set visibility to false operation would propagate to all the children components, or rather components that are children's of the trigger component. Let's give it another go. House. Okay. Pick the key. And I put back the key. Okay. So I pick the key. It's in the placeholder. When I put it back, it's back in the small desk. Now, let me. There's something else we should do, which is more elegantly done in the project, in the full project that I did yesterday. So we need to update the message. So the message, it's still reading. Press E to interact with key. It should say so when the spot that no it's actually hidden, when the spot that is hidden, it turns out that it's the same as the item we are holding, we should update the message, the interaction message, so that it says put back the key. So there's a lot of boilerplate to do all that. We won't make it in time to do it now, but when I upload you the project, you will be able to see how I did all that. It just I just need to pass some more messages here and there. Okay. Let's just use the key. Actually, let me show you, before using the key, let me show you how this pickable item blueprint, I can reuse it just fine with this book that was lying here. So, same behavior, BP book. I was keeping this in the folder items. This is pickable item. Pickable. Oh no, of course, I need to harvest components, and when I harvest components, pickable item class. This is the book, and I'm going to call it book, just a regular book. The thumbnail is going to be this book here, and just let me show you. I can pick the key, back the key. I'm going to come into the book here. Look at the fire. This is a very cozy place. I mean, adventure game with lots of stuff to investigate and read. So, oh, I need to do something here. So the trigger component of the book, it's rather small. So I didn't do it here, but I also added more functions to easily, adjust the trigger. You can see it in the full project when I upload it. This is more, I can just change the value here, but in my project it's more elegantly done. And again, we can review it in Discord if you need it. Okay, so the trigger is rather big now, like too big. Let's make it 60 maybe. Yeah, that's fine. Play, and we go here. Press E to pick up the book. So file message to pick up the book. There we go. There's a shadow. Yes, that shouldn't happen. Okay. So let me show you how to okay. My voice breaks up when I talk while playing. I don't know why that is happening, to be honest with you. So to remove the shadow from the book, you need to, this shadow is baked into the textures of the scene, which means that when we set the visibility of the book to hidden, the shadow is still present in the textures. So to fix that, we just go to the book blueprint. We, in the static mesh component, that it's the book itself, it's the representation of the book in the level. You can just this property, cast shadow, set it to disabled. Okay, and when you do that, Unreal will complain. It will tell you okay, it's not complaining now. It's not complaining. You should rebuild the lights. I won't do it right now, but to remove the shadow, you disable the shadow and you build the lights. And when you pick up the book, you won't have that nasty shadow. We pick it, we put it back, and same with the key. Now, if I pick the key and I try to pick up the book, this won't work. Thanks to that lovely macro that I did. Okay. Pretty nifty. I mean, just the blueprint, I can reuse it as many times as I want, and I can use it just to pick any item that I have in this level. Now let's wrap up this idea by being able to use these items, right? So going back to our spot base, I'm going to add one more variable, and I'm going to call it react with. It's going to be instance editable. It's going to be a name, and the default value, it's known. So in trigger interaction, I need to separate this event now. Now I'm working back on the spot base, so anything that I change in this spot base is going to be propagated to every actor, to every instance of the spot, which means I can add a very powerful functionality here, because what I'm going to do is, when a spot detects a reaction, it will trigger an event that it's going to be called trigger reaction. And this event must be implemented on the spot that, that requires that reaction. So I'm just going to leave here print string warning needs implementation. We're going to put it in red. Okay. Let's make more room here. Trigger reaction, like that. Lovely, wonderful, trigger reaction. And this event, I'm going to keep it and I'm going to rename it to trigger feedback. The new event, the main event, it's still going to be called trigger interaction. Trigger, right. Trigger, right. Okay, yeah, I did something wrong here. Hang on. Okay. Oh, let me try it again. Unreal, are you going to complain? Trigger interaction. Yeah, okay, there we go. I need to compile. So when I trigger the interaction, I'm going to ask something. I'm going to get a reference to the player character. It's perfectly fine to do this in a single player game because we only have one character always. So I cast this player character to my first person character. And if this is successful, I'm going to get current item. And you probably realize what I'm going to do next, because I'm going to get the name. I mean, let's ask, of course, is it valid first? I mean, do I have a current item? This probably needs a more robust interface, of course. I mean, it's not the best approach to do this, but it's going to be fine for our needs. And remember, this is a jam, so don't spend like an entire week creating the framework because you won't have enough time to do the game, the actual game. So this is fine. So get current item. If it's valid, I'm going to compare the name, okay, the name of the spot here with reacts with, and one final branch. So let's make a bit more room. There we go. Lovely, wonderfully organized. Okay. And this is going to be called trigger, trigger interaction. When I receive the event, when I receive the request to trigger the interaction of this spot, okay, before triggering the interaction, I'm going to ask, is the first person character holding an item? I could have used the flag is holding item so that I don't have to check if the current item is valid. It's the same. Let's do it like this. So if the first person character is holding an item and it turns out that that item is meant to react with me, if this is true, if the name of the current item of the character is the same as the name of, or is the same as the variable reacts with, I'm going to call the event, I'm going to trigger the reaction like this. And otherwise, I just triggered the default feedback as it was meant to be. So let me show you how this works. The main door, I'm going to same harvest components, BP door on items, spot base. I just need a spot base in this case. And there we go. Now, Let me go back. This is a skeletal mesh. So we're going to do something else with this door. Let me close all these. Okay, we are almost done. Let's see if this works first. So door, I'm going to put it back in the folder foyer. Let's name it door. The default feedback is going to be its lock, and the name, well, it's going to be door reacts with, which is going to be the key. It's the name of the inventory item. Yes, I mean we could do this in much more efficient ways. Instead of typing the name of the item in question, just use an array, maybe some other, just or maybe allow the reference to all the inventory items that we created to be collected in a pop-up box, in a pop-up list box. I mean, I'm just doing it very simply, very simple now. Let's try it. Just saving. So this door has a spot now. It's locked. Wonderful. And if I pick the key, it's locked. That shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen. Because, let me think, what did we miss here? Maybe I have a bug somewhere. Let me, just in case, let me verify that this is working. So whenever I think that something it's not working as expected, we just we use a print string. Has a valid item. Let me just print, double check that this is what I'm expecting, which is a valid item, the key. I pick up the key. Aha! That's not working. So current item is invalid. Let me just do the following then. Is holding item. Let's ask it like this, just in case. Is holding item true? Because maybe I forgot to do something in the first person character. Let's just quickly try if the character is holding an item. True. Is holding an item. Is holding an item. Let me check this. No, I'm not holding an item, which means let's see what happened here. Set current item. Set current item is holding item false. Set current item, it's a pickable item. This is fine. This is exactly as I did it yesterday. Let me double check. Let me double check something. I just let me confirm that I am adding the item here. I'm going to throw a print item added, and just very quickly append. Okay, item added. Let me just very quickly test this here. Okay, I'm going to verify. So I'm just going to verify if the item that I'm supposed to add, I am adding it. So when I pick the key, it's calling the function. Wait a moment. It's holding item. No, sorry. It's holding item false. If the character is not holding an item, okay, now let's try again. Item added, key. So wait, no, maybe this is working as expected. This is working just fine. Maybe the problem is in the function get current item. Of course, the problem is in this function because I am not returning the current item. So it's never going to work, right? So I just need to get the reference to the current item and return the bloody current item. So now it's going to work as expected. Sorry about that. Yeah, it can happen. Things sometimes don't work as expected. So let me just confirm that I pick the key, I try to use the key, and it says it still says it's locked. Why? Wait, did I? Let me. Wait a moment. I wasn't using the function get current item, so something is. Wait a moment. Wait. This function wasn't the problem. Of course, interaction, interact, so right. No, I know what, okay, no, I got it. So this is what happened when I renamed the event. Actually, I renamed the event and I never updated the event from first person character, because I don't want to trigger the feedback in this case. What I want to do, if the item isn't pickable, I want to trigger the interaction. This event is actually what's going to decide if it should trigger the feedback or a reaction. So, if it's not pickable, I trigger the interaction, right? So, this should work just fine, as I intended. I forgot something now. So from spot base, trigger interaction. Trigger the reaction, or of course, yeah, no. Now I know exactly what happened here. Yeah. I knew that I didn't have to use this, because I'm asking, okay, am I holding an item, or am I holding a valid item? No. If I am not holding a valid item, nothing will happen, because nothing happens afterwards. I need to confirm, so I need to check the is holding. I need to check with the character if it's holding an item first before doing anything else. So let me quickly refactor this. I don't need this print. I just realized what happened here. Sorry about that. So if we are not holding an item, I'm going to invert these things here. If I am not holding an item, just trigger feedback, just like that, right? If I am holding an item, okay, I'm going to ask, in this case, if I have a reaction, okay? So if I am supposed to react with that item, I trigger the reaction, and if I'm not supposed to react with that item, I'm just going to trigger feedback. Just quick solution. Let me check if this works now. Oh, yeah. It's locked. Warning needs implementation. Okay, it's working now. Again, the full project is more robust. Yes, it's actually, it considers more some more situations. Let me just finish the idea. So I have the key, I can use it on the door, and the door is detecting that it needs implementation. I mean, I am reacting with the item that I'm carrying. If I put back the key, go back to the door, it's locked. Okay, I'm triggering the default feedback. Okay, see how this framework that we designed, it is quickly coming to life. Implementation. Now, the final thing we're going to do now, it's open the damn door to finish this extremely long lesson. So, you'll have to take my word for it, because it's I don't want to get into skeletal mesh components now or animation blueprints. So what I'm going to do, just imagine that this door is actually composed of many parts. It has the frame, and it has a bone here in the main door itself. It has a bone that I can rotate, right, to open it in any direction. So this door has a variable. It's called rotation alpha. When rotation alpha is 0, the door is closed. When rotation alpha is 1, it's wide open. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to override the event trigger reaction. Now, the event. I don't want to call the event. I want to override the event. So this is the trigger reaction that is declared in the spot-based blueprint. So when the reaction is triggered, I'm going to get the skeletal mesh component. I'm going to get something that it's called animation instance. No, get anim instance. Okay. Every skeletal mesh component can have an animation blueprint assigned to it. Unreal will automatically create an instance of that animation when the game begins. So I'm getting a reference to that instance. I need to cast that instance to this animation called door main anim blueprint. Now, take my word for it, okay? I have the variable rotation alpha, which is 0. The default value is 0. Now, let me show you the magical moment when the door opens, right? I'm going to use one final feature that it's extremely useful in Unreal. It's actually Agustin Delger's favorite feature, or so he told me. It's called timeline. To create a timeline, you add a timeline here. Now, the idea of the timeline is that you create curves or you animate curves, right, that can be translated into values. I'm going to make it really, really quickly. Let me let's timelines. Yeah. Animate door. Okay. So let me go back. So this is the node animate door. I mean, I can double click on this node to edit the timeline. So when I do all the cast and everything is in place, I will look at all the execution, the input execution pins that we have on this node. Okay, so depending on where I enter this node, the timeline is going to do different things. So I can play, as I'm going to do now, or stop. Imagine it's a very lengthy animation. I can stop the animation at one point in time. If I enter, if I go back to play, I will resume the animation unless I do this, play from start, in which case it's going to play from the beginning, or I can reverse from end, etc. Let's make it quickly now because it's been a while. So I'm going to add a float value here. I'm going to call this rotation alpha. 2 keyframes. You can add as many keyframes as you want, right? Note how I'm already designing a curve here. The first keyframe, I'm going to set it to 0. I mean, the time at the initial time equaling 0, and the initial value being 0. So the last value is going to be 1 because it means 100%. Remember that this rotation alpha works pretty much the same as that opacity alpha. So it's a float, and that float can represent from 0 to 100%. So if I set rotation alpha to 1, that means that the animation will be completed. And the time, so sometimes you keep track of where the curve is. You can click on these nifty icons here to adjust the curve, to fit the curve to this section of the screen, and how long the animation will last. 3 seconds. Let's add some nice mystery to this door opening and make it just 3 seconds then, which is I think it's a nice time to complete the animation. What I like to do in these timelines, if you notice, it's a straight curve, which means there's not going to be an ease in and ease out. The value goes from 0, like in a linear way, from 0 to 1. If you add interpolation, note how the curve it has some nice it has a curvature, right? And you can adjust the shape of the curve, which means you can give more ease in or ease out to the animation. So if you want the animation to begin slowly, you give lots of ease in. So it's going to start a little slowly and then it will begin to gain speed. So I'm more ease in, less ease out. That's going to be fine for now. And the length, I can set it to just 3, so that, see how the animation ends at 3 seconds by the time I completed the but by the time the rotation alpha went from 0 to 1. Okay, now compile. This rotation alpha, I will pass the rotation alpha to the animation blueprint. Forget about the animation blueprint because it's very complicated. It's something that we can give you documentation to check it out. For now, all I want to do is to open the bloody door. So let's see. Oh, okay, and notice how we have like two major outcomes from this timeline. Update, it's executed each time the animation is updated. And finished, once the animation is finished. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. And we click play, and we pick up the key, and we interact with the door. It's not working. Why? It's not working. Let me double check. Let me double check. This was very simple, so it should be working. Unless I missed something. Reaction okay. Okay. If the reaction is okay, maybe I don't have the. Oh, let me hang on. Perhaps. Yes. Sorry about that. I need to set the animation. That animation blueprint class. I need to set it here. Otherwise, I don't have an instance of the animation, and I can't get the animation instance. So that blueprint class, which dictates how the door opens, what I need to do is set it here as a property of the skeletal mesh. Go here, we pick up the key, and this way the simulation ends because this is very animatic, because we left the house and there's nothing. It's very ending. But hey, it works. Okay, we left the house. Happy? So, ta-da! Okay, I'm going to upload this project, okay, and maybe with some documentation we can discuss it in our Discord community. And it's more, it has more some more elegant solutions to things, more customized messages, but the core idea of this framework is here. So we can very easily convert, items in this level that we can pick and use on other items. What happens when you use the items? You just override the reaction event and do whatever you want in the corresponding blueprint. Okay, so phew, this was much longer than I expected. I think I spent too much time explaining things. Like, I like explaining things, but it was a rather complex project. So if you have some questions, let me know. I don't know how many people are still watching this. Probably not that many. It's a good thing I recorded it. But if you have some questions, ideas, or just let me know. Otherwise, we'll call it a day and keep discussing about the jam in our Discord community. So, oh yeah, there's still people watching this. Okay. just log into Discord. We are discussing the jam very intensely these days. Tomorrow we'll vote a theme that we decided maybe the theme can be, if you want to use it, use it. If not, it's fine. If you already have an idea for the jam, just go on with it. If you need a starting point, the theme is for that. And yeah, yeah, probably it's a bit contradictory to use a Mac in this context. But hey, I love both companies. I really hope they sort these things soon. So anyway, I need to wrap this up. So thank you so much for joining the stream, and let's keep in touch about the jam. It's looking great. I think we already surpassed 150 participants, and the theme is going to be decided tomorrow. And if you don't want to use the theme, fine, fine. For this first jam, it's fine. Okay. So let's keep in touch and keep brainstorming ideas. We begin this Friday, and there's going to be another stream on Thursday to look into the UMG part to create the user widgets in greater detail with Agustin Delgar. Okay, so thank you. I hope you enjoy this. Sorry if it was a little more, too much about the too much explaining. Anyway, hope you liked it, and see you soon. Until next time. Bye.